Hey everyone, it's Edward from Ideal Direct Home Improvements. In today's video, we're going to show you how we're prepping a bathroom floor in a basement with self-leveler and getting it all ready for tile. Stay tuned and enjoy. In today's video, I'm going to show you how we do the self-leveler to straighten out this floor in this bathroom. I'm going to be using the self-leveler, the NovoPlan Plus 2. I already took the liberty to clean, the whole floor, and it basically takes like quite a few buckets. Has to be nice and clean with the sponge, and you can take a look at that in another video, the way we did it. So everything's cleaned up, and I already took the liberty of I'm using my 4-foot level, my 6-foot level. And this is initially just to check the level for one, but mostly I'm using these as straight edges. Okay, so I can check the floor, check the low spots, if there's any humps and stuff like that. If there's any humps, we want to fill in the level around the hump so that it eventually gets straight. Now, the key to this is not necessarily to make it level for the tile installation, but it's to straighten the floor. And it's as simple as taking the level, and then you can see that big rocking. Okay, so that's why I marked this being the high spot, and I checked from corner to corner, edge to edge. And this is what we want to do. We want to fix this. We don't want this hump here with the self-leveler. So that right there is telling me that we're going to fill in this because it's low, that for it's low. I'm eventually going to build up the whole floor because I want the edges first with my first pour. And that's it. We got to get rid of the rocking of the straight edges and straighten it out. This might take a couple pours. We're going to see how it works out. With doing the self-leveler in this washroom, eventually what I want to do is I want to raise it up a little bit as I level everything out, because I don't want such a big transition, and I'll show what I'm talking about in terms of the transition. We did our 5/8 tongue groove spruce plywood here in this basement, and I don't want to put plywood into the bathroom itself because I just want to install the tile. And we're gonna straighten out the floor and stuff like that. So we have our Delta mat there, and we have our 5/8 tongue groove. Now, I wanna try to build this floor up a little bit, and we're gonna be using the self-leveler. As I build this floor up, I might not come all the way up to the plywood. We're gonna see how it goes. As long as I can build this floor up a little bit in the washroom so that there isn't such a big transition here from the laminate floor and the outside of the basement to the inside of the washroom. Let's take a look. So I already marked, and I used just a lumber crayon. And I marked my lows so you can see. So I'm going to be filling all of that up with the self-leveler. And we'll show you how we mix it and stuff like that. Once I've established all my low points and I've marked them, I'm good to go. I'm ready. I feel confident on what I'm going to do. And as I pour the mix, I can just work and get it done. Before we put any cement on here or self-leveler, the most important thing is to prime the concrete. Now, I washed it like extremely. It probably took 20 dirty 5-gallon pills of water, of dirty water out of here, but we're gonna do the primer, okay? And it's very simple. That's gonna be the first stage. Now that it's ready and it's all marked and I know what's going on with the floor, and that's it. This primer is I'm gonna roll it on with this little foam roller, and it just basically needs a lick, and it's clear so it won't cover up the marks and stuff like that. Shake it well, pour it, and I'm gonna get started priming it, and then we're gonna wait a little. As this is drying and stuff, we're going to mix cement. Okay, let's get started with the primer now. This is very liquidy. This should be enough for this whole floor. All it needs is one coat. And I say all it needs is one coat because I know for a fact that I washed this, and you can basically eat off of this concrete. That's the most important thing, especially with the self-leveler. You want it to create a good bond. Come and take a look. And that's as easy as it is. And you can see that the primer is clear, so any of the marks that I made to help me as a guide with the lumber crayon, just so I don't forget, you can still see the marks. And the smell on this primer isn't too bad. So I'm just going to finish this here. You can use a bigger roller if you want. I find that the foam rollers work best. When you do it, it doesn't have to look pretty, but try not to waste any, because this primer, it's not cheap. You don't have to be Picasso to do this primer. Just make sure you get it all in there and don't miss a spot. Okay, so I'm going to do the rest, finish it off. After this, we're going to mix the self-leveler. Stay tuned. I'm ready to mix. We waited about 2 hours for the primer to dry. It was dry maybe within an hour. Just follow the instructions on it. This is the product we're going to use for the self-leveler. I'm going to mix a whole bag. We're just going to use the one bag and do the one shot for now, so I can start straightening it out. I have my pail already with the water, and I'm using the recommended water. I already measured it. It says 5 liters to the bag, and that's it. I'm going to put the water in the bucket first. Mask to mix. It's going to get a little loud with the mixing drill. I won't record all of it, just to show you. The water's in the bucket before the cement. I'm going to start off mixing it slowly, and if you paid attention, I poured the cement in very slowly so it wouldn't splash everywhere. I got a little splash, but that's okay. So I mixed it for 2 minutes. Whatever it says on the bag, just follow the instructions. Come take a look at the consistency. It's almost like cement liquid. You see? And this we don't have to let it sit. The mix is all ready. These are the tools I'm going to use. A magnesium float. You can use a wood one. This is just the tools I have. And just a regular trowel, a big flat one. And this just in case, but this I'm going to start in the low areas. That is all my concern right now. Come take a look if you can come in and show everybody the consistency. So I'm going to do it slow. Take a look at what's going on. So it's already finding the low spots and filling in. See how it's going into the corners? Now I'm going to just let it play a little on its own, and then I'm going to trowel it. Okay, so let's just wait a little. Fill this all in so it goes right in the corner. Now, it's called self-leveling cement, but you do need to, help it out, put it where you want it. I didn't tape up the tub because I didn't have to. It still has the plastic film on it. But you can see, like, the tub is level and there's a 1/4 inch gap there, right? And this was one of the low spots, so I'm going to fill this up. That's going to help straighten it out. This is an awkward size, and there's a lot of jogs here. It's not as simple as me just getting a straight edge and pulling it. I have to do it by hand like this, because you see this has a whole jog in here, that has a whole jog in there, right? And that's why I check everything first. And this is going to take a couple shots. The more prep work that I do here, the easier it's going to be to install the tile. I'm just going to put this here. When you're doing the self-leveling cement, the most important thing is you see these little drips, clean them out. Because when that dries, you're going to notice that with your hand. That's why I use this trowel, the float to spread it, and then this to clean it out. That's basically to feather the edge so that you don't have any lumps, because even if it's an 1/8 thick, when it dries, it'll dry solid. So just once that section is done, now it's gonna do its own thing. It's gonna spread, like it's gonna start to level off its own way. We just helped it, we filled in the low spots, and this is ready to go. Now I'm going to go in that corner. This just needed just a little bit. I think that should be good for now. Now we're just gonna fill it in a little so it goes right to where I needed it. I think that's good for the first shot. Now I'm just gonna feather that out. Like it's nice when you could pour it after you establish what's going on with the floor and then pull, but here we can't. I have to fill it in. Okay, so that's that. And I'm gonna fill in that, fill it up, and then maybe pour a little bit more. Just a little in the corner. And I'm using the float to feather it out. Just add a little here, a little more. Now it's okay to add there because what I'm doing, I wanted to make sure that I got the key points. This I know needed a lot more, but I wanted to make sure I hit this corner and that corner. So I'm going to use up the rest of the cement. assist it a little bit again. See, I can see how much I have to fill going according to the bathtub. Let me show you. So you see the line? The bathtub's level. So I'm spreading the leveler all the way. And then you see the tub's basically sitting on the concrete there. That's what I have to fill. If it doesn't get done all in one shot, it's okay. Here's the leveler after about 45 minutes after pouring. And you can see, so it's done its job. And now it just has to dry. So take a look at the gap underneath the tub and see how it filled up. So it's consistent. I'm going to let this dry for about 24 hours and then grab the levels, the straight edges, double check whatever has to be filled up again and do at least another pour because I still want to build this up nice so there isn't such a big transition. 24 hours later, let's take a look at our progress. The self-leveler is all dried. The first pour, but I'm going to do another pour. You can take a look. The line at the tub, which I've been using as a guide, which has helped immensely. These corners are built up nice, and those corners that were low are built up nice. This one's built up nice. Now from here, all I have to do is I'll grab my 6-foot level. Now that I know that that's where I wanted it, I can see the gap underneath the level, taking it from this point here to that point there that I filled in. And here's my hump. It was my high spot. It's touching there. It's touching there. What I have to do, I'm going to make a pour, but I'm only going to mix half a bag just to fill this in here, because that's what I want to do, is I want to feather this high spout out to the corners. I'm going to mix just half a bag so I can get this a little bit more straight and not have that gap there. I'm going to get started with mixing another pour and pour. So I said I was gonna do like just half a bag mix, but I'm gonna do a full bag mix because I wanna fill that in a little bit more to bring the height up. So I'm gonna do a full bag mix, which I already did, it's ready to go. And I'm gonna fill that up a little bit as I'm filling that up a little bit so I can build it up to the plywood not 100% to the plywood, but build it up somewhat. And then I know this is really low here, so I'm going to make sure that I have at least, say, 1/4 inch more or so more in here than everywhere else. And I'm just going to focus on this area right now for the pour, so I can build that up. And then this is going to play now as a good guide to fix the rest of that. Let's get started. It's almost doing it, it's as if it's doing it all by itself. And I'm going to spread it a little bit to help it out. Just going to put a little bit more here, because this is going to start off my next pour. I think those 2 corners are good. I'm going to fill in a little bit more against the bathtub. And I might do this like whatever it takes. I don't care what it takes. If it takes another 2 pours, 1 to straighten the floor out, and 2 especially to try to build it up. Here's the second pour that I really finished off filling in the really low areas. And now I'm confident that I'm going to do a full pour. I'll show you how good this self-leveler works. Like, I did this whole section yesterday. And let's take a look at the level. There's no gaps. Now I pushed it around a little to help it, but it basically did the rest. So that's how the self-leveler works. You can see that whole section straightened itself out completely. This NovoPlan Plus 2 is a great thing. So now that all my low spots are filled in, I'm going to do a full pour. There it is. I'm going to do 3 full bags. I'm pretty confident 3 full bags will do this. I have my buckets ready, and that's it. I'm going to start mixing. I'm going to mix all 3 bags one shot, and then I'm going to do a full pour. It would have been nice to do, you know, maybe only 2 pours, but in this bathroom it's just so awkward. Like I said, because of all the jogs. And I think the most important thing now, because all the low spots are filled in, I can do a complete pour, and I'm going to keep it consistent, because even the cement, the leveler, you take a look at the level, like that's dead on. I get started with the pour. We're going to do a full pour using this. let's take a quick look after the tile was laid and the laminate floor is done. Started the finished carpentry and the tile is finished. So this is the floor that I did the self-leveler on. Take a look. And everything worked out just beautifully. Here's the transition. Just wanted to show everybody the finish of it. So you see that's the laminate, that's the floor. Just use the stock transition, the T-mold. That's 1/2 inch thick. And that's it, folks. All done. We've got a lot of stuff going on in this basement. I just machined all the jambs and all the doors, installed everything from scratch because they're custom doors. There you have it. The floor's all done. Well, I hope this video helped you out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, thumbs up, and subscribe. Have a great day.